Hi, good morning and happy Friday, everybody. How's everyone doing? Good? Good. I think we are streaming and good. All right, perfect. So we're going to just take a little brief start seated, just to do a little wrist and arm release. Then we're going to come to all fours and kind of get into our spines and shoulders a little bit more. So comfortable seat to start, but at this point in time, like I said, a little bit more about just kind of warming up wrists and arms. So any way to sit is completely good. So if you're comfortable sitting cross-legged, if you're not, you can sit any other way you like. Just try to mind your posture a little bit and be tall in your seat, maintaining just the natural curves that are there in your spine. We're not going to be here for super long. So go ahead and just take your hands and just give a few little rolls here to your wrists and just notice as you go through this, any sound, any sensation you might be feeling, if there's any difference. I'm always super crackly in my left side more than my right. So just any difference from side to side, kind of between the hands, and then switch directions, a few little circles the opposite way. Not hearing a ton of pops, so quiet wrists this morning. And then go ahead and just take your hands and elbows in, just spread your fingers nice and wide. It's almost like you're trying to pull your fingers down a little bit, spread through the fingers nice and wide, a little stretch in here through the palms of the hands. Just really open up those palms, especially if you are one who uses your hands a lot during the day. This is a good one to just throw into the mix. Take another inhale. And then as you exhale, bring the hands together. We'll interweave the fingers together. Try to keep your elbows in so that we're not tempted to move the arms. We're just going to move that wrist joint and take that little sideways 8 kind of infinity symbol here. Again, elbows staying fairly still, pointing the knuckles forward. And then eventually you're going to pick up a little bit of speed once your brain kind of catches on to what we're doing. And then throw it all off and go the other way. Take a few little movements the other way. Good, go ahead and release, just give those arms a nice little shake out. And if you're sitting cross-legged, just for the sake of symmetry, go ahead and switch the cross of your legs. We'll take that left hand forward, or that'd be your right hand forward here, and just keep the elbow nice and soft. Nothing super forceful, but just a little gentle tug here of the fingers back. Again, not locking the elbows, nice and soft, and just pulling back enough. You're probably going to start to feel it a little bit into the forearm. So take another 2 or so big breaths, just nice and even with your breath here. And then switching sides, you'll take that left hand forward again. Make sure we're not locked, so soft through the elbow. Just a gentle little encouragement here, bringing those fingers back, not in a forceful way. Breathing as you do this all, keeping that breath nice and steady. And then release, and on that next inhale, take the arms out about shoulder height. Push a little bit through the heels of the hand. So elbows are fairly soft here, and push through the heel of the hand just to get that little extra stretch right around the forearm is where you're likely to feel it. Take just a couple more big breaths here. And then on that next inhale, turn the fingers to point to the side of the room. And we're going to exhale, flip the thumbs under, and then start to pull your thumbs back, start to pull your arms back. And this is going to be pretty subtle. We're not going to probably reach back super far, but spin the thumbs back, pull the hands back just a touch, and that should open into the bicep area, into the upper portion of your arm, just a little bit more. If your shoulders are getting a little bit warm now, we're almost done. Take another big breath in. And then exhale, release. Just take a moment, let your hands just rest wherever they naturally fall. Give a few rolls of your neck here. Feel free to close your eyes and just roll through a few other full or half circles here with your neck, just kind of checking into how everything is feeling this morning. And then be sure to switch the direction of your circles. And coming back to center, take a moment just to sit nice and tall. If you're comfortable with it, open the mouth nice and wide. Just take a little stretch here through the jaw. And as you close the mouth again, doing so very lightly, so you keep a little bit of space between your teeth. Let the tongue just be loose in your mouth. And take about 3 more here of just the deepest breaths you can take. Really try to expand and fill that rib cage as you breathe. Take another breath in. And as you exhale, we're going to come forward to all fours and just get a little bit of movement in here through the spine, just kind of reset into our spines here. So hands can come down underneath your shoulders. If anything, you want your wrist joint a little ahead of your shoulder. Putting it back behind, it puts a ton of pressure on your wrist. So wrist just a little forward of your shoulder. And like we just did in seated, try to spread those fingers really wide apart here. Really root down through the palms of your hands. And inhale, let your belly dip down. Lift through the heart and the tail. Exhale, round and curl. So take a few more rounds of cat-cow here, just at your own pace. So whenever you inhale, you're letting that belly drop, lifting the tailbone, lifting the chin a little bit. And then as you exhale, you round and curl. So take just a few more at your own pace. And don't be afraid to let the movement just kind of evolve and morph a little bit here, adding on any other movements that do feel good to you. Take about 3 more breaths. Very much just feeling your way into your body. And then from here, waking up into the shoulders a bit more. So you're going to keep that left hand on the mat, so left finger spread wide, and a few rounds of a child's wave with the right. So child's wave, you're going to inhale, reach the hand forward and up, still in tabletop, but as you exhale towards child's pose, your hips push to your heels, head comes towards the floor, right hand back by your side. Inhaling, drag your hand along the floor, reaching forward as you lift up, hand back to sky, and exhale again, hips to heels, hand reaching to the back wall. So move through a few of these at your own pace. You're basically lifting and lowering between all fours in child's pose and just making a nice big circle here with that right arm. So try to make it a big circle. So I want you to really activate into that right shoulder, really just get some big movement going on here through that right shoulder. We'll take just a couple more circles. Whenever your right fingertips next lift towards the sky, just pause there. So whenever you get there, you're finishing up that inhale, reaching long through the right side, and then thread the needle on your exhale. Take that right arm, dive it underneath, reach all the way towards the opposite side of the room here. The palm of that right hand is going to face up towards the sky. Your tailbone stays lifted. Everyone's looking good. And give it a few big breaths. Just be very conscious of your head and your neck. You always want to make sure you're bearing a little more weight in your arm bone than you are in your shoulder. I'm sorry, in your head or in your neck. So more weight into the arm and shoulder, less weight into the head and the neck. You need to prop up. So in other words, if you're having a hard time really bearing down into that shoulder, you can always take your rolled blanket underneath that shoulder. And then those last couple of breaths, you can either stay just like you are, or you can pop up onto your left fingertips with your left elbow towards the ceiling, just leveraging a little more press into that left hand, or even take that left hand around your back over towards that opposite hip. Let's take one more breath in. And then exhale, lower that left hand back down, just press it into the mat. And we'll unwind on the inhale, lifting up, right fingertips back to sky, big reach. And exhale, hand to mat. Before we switch sides, just take a couple breaths, reset, move your spine. If you'd like to take a couple breaths with the toes tucked under, maybe pushing the hips back to release into the soles of the feet. Take another big breath here. And then that same child's wave, we're going to root down with the right hand this time. And inhale, left hand forward and circles up. Exhale, hips back, reach back. Lower that head towards the mat. Inhale, scraping the floor as you sweep that left hand forward and up again. And exhale, gently rolling back. So a few more at your own pace. I don't want you to feel in any way like you have to follow anyone else's breath pattern. So challenge yourself to really align the speed of your movement with the speed of your breath. Take a couple more rounds. Whenever those left fingertips next lift, we'll pause there, finishing that deep inhale. And then thread the needle as you exhale, dive under, reach all the way to the opposite side. Gently setting the weight down into that arm bone, being very conscious of your head and your neck. Tailbone stays lifted, and do your best to just maintain a nice strong breath here. And then those last couple breaths, either just stay as you are, pop up to those right fingertips, elbow high, or loop that right hand around behind your back. One more deep breath in. And then hand to floor on the exhale. Set that right hand under your shoulder. We'll unwind. Take a breath in. Left hand all the way to the sky. Tunnel twist here through the spine. And exhale, left hand to mat. Give it just that last breath or two on all fours, just resetting where you're at here in the spine. I know we've been on the knees for a little bit, so we're going to lower down, bringing yourself into a sphinx. So you want the fingertips right up towards the top of your mat, elbows roughly under your shoulders, if anything ahead of your shoulders, just for a little bit less intensity. Forearms pretty parallel, and then take your feet a little wider than your hips here. There you go. Let the heels drop open. Gaze, you want to look more towards the floor in front of your mat. So we don't want to really look up or down, just kind of somewhere in between, a pretty neutral neck. And if you are feeling that this is pretty intense on your low back, try playing with walking your elbows a little bit further forward. So bringing your elbows out ahead of your shoulders, even making a couple of fists here to stack underneath the forehead can be a good way to take some of that intensity away from the low back. See if you can really find some just slack here through the jaw. Consider closing your eyes and just taking a few moments to breathe, to really feel what it is that is going on in your body. It's nice to have a little bit of time in the poses so you have that time to really just feel and connect. Every shape that we take the body through, what's going on? What are the effects? Take another big breath in. And then lower down on your exhale, stack the hands, just bring your forehead onto your stacked hands and give a little shake, a little wag of your tail. Let the hips roll a couple times from side to side. If you'd like more release for the low back, lift your feet off the floor and windshield wiper by dropping the feet from side to side. We'll take another big breath in. And then on your exhale, release the feet back down. This time, bring your hands by your side. So right by your side, palms up, and set one ear to the mat. Doesn't matter which side. We'll take a couple breaths with each. Just let your gaze turn to one side. If this bothers your neck, you can always stay like we were with your hands stacked under your forehead. Otherwise, just a couple breaths looking either direction. Really melting down into the mat. Take another breath. And we'll just switch sides from here. So go ahead and set that other ear down towards the mat. Again, just really melting in. And then on that next inhale, coming back to center, once again, stack your hands and just bring your hands underneath your forehead, giving some support here. And we're going to come into a crocodile here. So starting with that right side, a little bit of a hip opener. You're going to take that right knee and pull it forward so that it's more or less in the same plane as your right hip here. So if it bothers you to have that hard floor under your knee, you can either shimmy your body over a bit to the left so your knee is still on your mat, or use your blanket to pad, but you want to, if you're using that blanket, have it pretty thin. And then just give it a few breaths. So we're trying to get a little space here into that right hip socket, not in a forceful way. So we're not putting effort into trying to push the hip down, but just let time, let gravity help get you here. It might take a little more effort to breathe deeply as we lay on the belly. So see what you can do to keep that breath even, keep that breath full. And then from here, you can either stay or you can take those arms out to a T with the palms down and set your left ear towards the mat. So you're looking in the direction of the knee that's bent. That's too much. Stay as you are. About 5 more big breaths. More breath like this. And then from here, we're going to keep the legs just like they are. Bring your chin back to center and then push into the hands, lift back up into that Sphinx shape here with the upper body. We're going to add a little bit of a twist here. So back into that Sphinx shape, you've got your right knee pulled forward. So your opposite arm, that's your left hand, is going to slide underneath and then roll towards that left shoulder. Hands are going to come together. And as you come onto a twist here, you want your head to come down onto the floor. If your head doesn't come to the floor, use your blanket or some sort of prop to lift the head. But that right arm is going to reach up towards the ceiling. And then that right arm is going to extend back behind you. It might come to the floor and it also might not. So everybody's going to be a little bit different. If it doesn't come to the floor, you're probably going to feel a little bit more of a stretch in here through the shoulder. So just breathe through it. Make sure it's not too intense. If it comes to the floor, just try to let the arm be fairly heavy here. Just a few big breaths. I realize this is a pretty deep twist, pretty big rotation here for that upper back. So just see how you can breathe through it. Again, that right shoulder, that right arm might not touch down, but do make sure your head is supported by something. Take another full breath. And then on that next inhale, start to lift that right arm, sweep it all the way back over to your left hand. And exhale, send the right leg back, roll back onto your belly, hands coming under shoulders, shake out the hips a little bit, just give a little wag. We're going to come into the other side in a couple breaths. If your low back is bothering you, you can always come up to all fours for a couple of moments as well and just reset where we're at. Otherwise, one more breath. And then as you're ready, you're going to start to pull that left knee forward. So that same kind of crocodile shape here, little half frog, your left knee more or less aligning with your left hip. Pad the knee if you're needing a little bit of cushioning and start with your head just resting on your hands. We'll have the option to add that neck stretch in a moment, but give yourself a couple breaths to just get situated first to really kind of let go of any effort your body might be trying to put into this and just allow yourself to melt in. And then the option, if you'd like, to take those arms out to T, palms down, right ear towards the mat. Take another 2 of your deepest breaths. Super passive here, melting down into the mat. One more breath. And without changing your legs, we'll bring that nose back into center. Perch yourself right back up onto your forearms. And this time with the left knee forward, you want to take that right hand, thread the right arm underneath, roll towards the right shoulder. Your left hand comes on top of your right hand. And then as you inhale, we open like a book, that left arm out. You might stop somewhere in the air. It might come down towards the floor. Regardless of where your hand and where your shoulder land, do make sure your head is supported. And give it a few deep breaths. So you should probably be feeling a little something here through that left side of the rib cage. Again, a nice deep rotation here in the spine. When we twist, a lot of times it takes a little more effort to keep a breath strong. So do try to just give it what you can. Breathe in and out as deeply as you can. Just a couple more breaths. And then on your next inhale, take that left arm, sweep it all the way back to your right hand. And exhale, left leg back behind you. Roll a final time here onto the belly. You can support your head with your hands. Lift your feet. Give that little windshield wiper of the feet. And then setting your feet back to the mat, take a breath in and slide your hands under shoulders. Important to engage the core here. So firm that belly nice and tight, and exhale, lift to all fours, pushing down in your hands. We are going to come into child's pose from here. We're going to take a couple breaths to reset your spine. We've been on the belly for a while. That does put a little, sometimes strain around the low back. So rolling through some cat cows, barrel rolls, whatever helps you to feel a bit reset. Take as many breaths as you need here on the hands and the knees, but whenever you are ready, for childs, we just want to make sure that our knees are wide enough to accommodate and give some space for our torso to land here. Make sure they're not so wide that it bothers your hips. So it's a little bit of a balancing act at times, just finding the right amount of space between the knees for your body. You need to pad the knees, please use your blanket. If for any reason child's pose is just really not comfortable for your body, you can also take it upside down. You can always flip on your back and just hug your knees wide towards your chest. Otherwise, try to get comfortable. Again, there's no true one size fits all. The spacing between everyone's knees is probably gonna be a little bit different. You can find your arms either easily reaching forward, in other words, as much of your arm bones on the floor as possible, or let your hands come by your side, palms up. Big thing is to make sure your shoulder or your head is supported. So if your head doesn't naturally touch the floor, use your hands or some sort of prop to support it. And just kind of tucked into your own little space here. Take a few moments to close your eyes and just let that breath start to steady out. See if you can stay more focused on your breathing than whatever type of thought pattern might be coming in this morning. And from here, we are going to be in a few moments transitioning into a downward dog. I want you to just take it at your own pace here. So if you're feeling really good in child's pose, and if you'd like to stay here for a few more breaths, please feel free. Stay here longer as you like, but whenever you're ready, you can start that transition lifting first through all fours, maybe a cat cow or two, and eventually into down dog. Again, we'll leave it at maybe 6 to 8 breaths here to transition. So spend them in the way that feels best to your body, whether it's child's, a little extra time in dog. One is not better than the other. Just find the one that is better for your body. Try to keep the movement flowing whenever you do make your way into dog. So bending and straightening your knees, just giving that little walking type movement of the legs to help get the blood flowing a little bit, especially after child's pose. Anytime we're on the hands, fingers spread, get a good firm grip of the entire palm. Let's take another deep breath in. And then slowly walk forward as you exhale, your feet crawling up to your hands. Stay in a forward fold. So have those feet a good hips width distance apart. Allow the crown of your head to simply melt down. Knees pretty bent. So especially if there's any sort of strain or pull or discomfort on your low back, it's usually a good indication to just bend your knees a little bit more deeply. And this can be really loose. If you want to add a little rock or a little sway, a little shake, nod of the head, it's super loosey here. Let's take another breath. And then on your next inhale, rise halfway. Lengthen that spine forward, a long spine, and exhale, soften back in, just let it go. Again, on the inhale, we'll rise halfway, lengthen. And exhale, fold. All the way to standing. On that inhale, feel the feet root down, reach as long as you can overhead, grabbing hold of that right wrist without locking the knees. Exhale, little side bend to your left. So from here, you can play a little bit with your gaze, maybe looking down towards that left side of your mat, looking up towards your right elbow. Give it another breath. And inhale, release back to center, plug those shoulders in, grab that left wrist, and exhale, opposite side. Still soft through the knees, a good spread of your toes. Find a comfortable head position or consider that same, almost like a little no, you're looking down towards the mat. And then peeking up towards that top elbow. Inhale your way back through center. Take a big reach and stretch through both arms. And then reset on exhale, hands to your heart, sweeping the hands down and around, closing the eyes and just taking a couple moments to center here. So try to spread your toes nice and wide. Just feel yourself standing tall, but yet in a very natural way. So you're strong in your body, but there's no stiffness. There's nothing that feels forced. There's nothing that feels unnatural. Check with your breathing, and over the course of the next 3 breaths, see if each of the 3 breaths can be just a little bit longer, a little bit deeper than the breath before. And then on that next inhale, we'll add the arms. Reach the arms out and up, take a long stretch overhead, and then dive forward as you exhale. Be sure to bend your knees. Come back to that forward fold, letting your head hang. Inhale halfway, find some length. Exhale, deeper fold, just settle in. Inhale as we rise, come back to standing, anchoring through the feet. Take a big stretch. And exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, sweep the arms again, lift up. And exhale, dive it down. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, extended Tadasana, come to standing, root the feet, lift the arms. And exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, once again, lift it up. And exhale, dive it down. Inhale here, halfway. And now exhale your right leg back. Lower your hands and step that right leg back to a lunge. Drop down onto that right knee. Your back toes, you can tuck them, you can untuck them, see what feels better on your back knee. But take a breath in and just lift, bringing your hands up onto that front leg. And make sure your knee stays back behind your toes, so stacked pretty well above your ankle. And your hips, as they hopefully start to loosen up a little bit, can start to drop forward and down a little bit. Really do try to spread nice and wide into those left toes. It's going to help stabilize that knee. And then once you're ready, inhale, reach the arms up. Hands a little wider than your shoulders. Really do try to plug those arm bones in, and a little bit of an inward spiral here with the pinkies just to help broaden through the shoulders. Your eyes can be closed. You can also just set what we call a drishti, so letting your gaze just rest lightly to one point, not being too tempted to look all around. Take another big breath in. And then fingertips down on exhale, push the hips back, release that front leg. So stretch into that left leg here. You always have the option, if you have a block or some sort of prop, if you'd like to bring the floor a little closer, you can do so. Give it just a couple breaths. So that front leg's straight, but you want to try to avoid completely locking the knees. So just a tiny micro bend. Hinging from the hips and just getting some good length, not only through the leg, but through the back as well. Take another breath. And then inhale, bend the knee again, sink low, reach those hands overhead. Stretch the body tall. And exhale, forward fold. We'll bring both hands down and then just step it up with your right foot. Your feet move back to the top of your mat. We'll inhale, halfway lift, find some length. And then exhale, fold, bow in. To standing, that next inhale will push down, reach up, take a long stretch, and exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, rise. And exhale, dive down. Inhale, halfway. And now the left leg will exhale, a long step back with that left leg. Once you get that nice long step, drop to that back knee, figure out what you want to do with those toes. And inhale, just start with hands to leg, just to kind of take the arms out of the picture for now. So you can really focus on letting the hips sink down, making sure that you're fairly stable through that front knee. So the toes are spread, the four corners of the foot pushing into the mat. There's a nice length through the spine, through the back of the neck, and then you can stay or inhale the arms. Try to stay relaxed through the muscles of your face, especially the muscles of your jaw. And really fill that rib cage. So every time you inhale, it's a nice deep, full inhale. We'll take another breath in here. And then fingertips down on your exhale, move towards your half split. So you're going to push the hips back, walk the hands back. Again, maybe using some sort of a prop, blanket, blocks, whatever you've got to lift the hands. Keeping the hips squared towards the midline so they're not popping too far over to the left. And always keep track of your breath. One more deep breath. And on that next inhale, back to lunge, sink the legs again, reach up, hands overhead. Then exhale, fingertips down to the mat. We'll step forward once again. So that left foot moving back to the top of your mat, parallel with your right. Inhale halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale up to standing, root down, and again, stretch as long as you can through the arms. Exhale, hands to heart. Pause and take a breath, just reset. We're going to move through one round of kind of modified sun salutation here just to warm things up. Big breath in, arms overhead. And exhale, bow it down. Inhale halfway, find some good length and right leg back on your exhale. Take your long step, lower to that right knee. Inhaling as the hands sweep above the head. Take a nice long lift. Then exhale, hands to mat. Try to keep your elbows soft. Step to plank on that inhale, that left foot joining the right foot. Upper back a little bit puffed here. And then downward dog as you exhale, simply send your hips high. Take a big breath in, left heel high. And then exhale, left foot forward, landing back into that same lunge. Gently dropping the back knee, we'll take a breath in, arms stretch overhead. Then exhale, forward fold, hands down to the mat. Step it forward with that right foot. Knees a bit soft, inhaling as you come halfway up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, now to standing, rise up. Stretch those hands overhead. And exhale, hands to heart. Opposite side, breath in, reach up. And exhale, bow forward. Inhale, halfway. And now the left leg back. Exhale, step long to the left. Drop that left knee and inhale, drop the hips, reach the hands. Exhale, hands to mat, elbows soft. Squeeze the belly and inhale, plank. Right foot next to left foot. Elbows are soft. Exhale your way to dog, hips high. Inhale, this time right leg high. Kick your heels straight to the ceiling. And exhale, right foot forward, landing lightly. Drop that back knee. Inhale, lift the arms. Exhale, forward fold. Bring the hands down. Step back up to the top of the mat. Feet parallel again. We'll inhale halfway. Exhale, fold here. Now inhale, rise all the way up to standing, root down, reach the arms. And again, just close the eyes, exhale, hands to heart. Be sure to soften your knees a little bit. Just check in with where everything's at. Make any little adjustments that you need here. Give yourself just a big clearing breath, simply the deepest breath in and out you can take. And then that next inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, dive it down. Inhale halfway, find length. And exhale, right leg steps back. Long step, but this time warrior two. We'll pivot that heel to the mat and use your breath in to come up. Bringing your hands to about shoulders height, both of them. A lot of times we forget the back. Shrug those shoulders down and back a little bit. Just give it a few deep breaths. So that front knee, we want to make sure that we're pushing into the pinky toe edge of the foot a little bit more firmly to help that knee track forward. Leveling out a bit through the pelvis so that back hip starts to drop, and I'm going to leave the rest up to you in terms of intensity. If you want more intensity, drop a little lower into the legs. If that's not why you're here, just find a posture that's comfortable and take a few of your deepest breaths. We're going to stay here, but on the next inhale, just turn the palms of your hands to face that wall that you're currently, we'll call in front of you. And then as you exhale, eagle wrap the arms, your front arm underneath, crossing at the elbows and binding the arms together. Now your alternative is to take a bear hug. Just grab your opposite shoulder blades. Let's see if you can still stay fairly low here in the legs. So just a couple more breaths in this warrior shape. Squeezing those forearms in towards one another. Take another big breath here, opening into the shoulders. And as you inhale, we'll unwind right to a reverse warrior. Undo the arms, reach that left arm up and back here. Nice long reach and then side angle as you exhale, tilt the torso forward. Bring that left arm down pretty weightlessly to that left leg. You can use it as a little reminder to the inner knee to make sure that that knee tracks forward. The pinky toe edge is heavier. Just one more big breath. And then reverse on that inhale, take that left arm up and back once again. We're going to come to a runner's lunge on your exhale, cartwheeling your hands down. Lift that back heel up, plug your right hand down, wrist a little forward to shoulder, and then inhale, left hand to the sky. If you'd like, you can drop onto that back knee. So you can always set your back knee down. Good. Otherwise, that left hand nice and tall. Good long reach here through the arm. Take another breath in. And then exhale, lower that left hand. We're going to pivot our body a little quarter turn here to the right. And then just a brief counter twist, plug your left hand under your face and inhale, take your right hand up to the sky. Weight can always shift forward just a tiny bit here, more towards the front end of your feet. That might mean moving your hand forward a touch. Take another breath in. And then exhale, lower that hand to the mat. Give yourself a couple little just movements from side to side. So you can lunge to one side, lunge to the other, just loosen up into the legs. Take another breath. And then the next time you inhale all the way into that left knee, bend that left knee. Pivot to face the top of your mat once again, perched up to your fingertips, and step it forward on your exhale, right up to the top of your mat. We'll inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. And now to standing, inhale as you press through the feet, lift the arms, and then bring your hands behind your back as you exhale. Squeeze the hands together and just take a couple breaths in, lift and puff that chest. Now your alternative is to just put your hands on your low back and squeeze your elbows in. So either one works, but do try to lift and puff. If you're okay lifting the chin, you can look slightly upward. Take another breath in. And then from the belly, exhale back to center. Undo the hands, just come into your Tadasana with the hands by your side. Give a little shift of the weight here to really anchor down between the four corners of your feet. And with a steady, soft gaze, we'll inhale, hands overhead. Exhale, dive it down. Inhaling here halfway, find some good length, and this time left leg back. As you exhale, find that warrior two, step long, pivot the heel to the floor, and use your breath in to come up. So your front heel intersecting somewhere along that back foot. Shoulders easily just gently roll down the back. Again, level of intensity, that part I'm going to leave up to you. You can always firm the legs a little bit more, bend a little more deeply into that front knee. A nice active reach to the arms without being stiff. Take another breath. And then as you next inhale, turn the palms of your hands to face the wall in front of you. Front arm underneath as you exhale, again, either that bear hug or that winding together of the arms as you would in eagle pose. Couple deep breaths to make sure whichever option you're taking with the arms, you can breathe. So there's not too much constriction. You're not wrapping too tightly. Let's give it another breath. Inhale, unwind to your reverse, sweeping that right hand up, opening nice and long through that whole right side, and side angle as you exhale, just a little tilt forward, light into that right hand. Left arm reaches. Give it about 2 more big breaths. Try to feel the pinky toe of both feet really pushing into your floor. Inhale, reverse, sweep it up. And exhale, cartwheel down, lift your back heel. Make sure that back heel lifts to protect the Achilles. Sink the hips, and then inhale, right hand to sky. And or you can always drop the back knee, your call. Take 1 more breath in. And then hand down as you exhale, we'll pivot the body once again. This time to your left, a little bit of a pigeon toe to the feet. Try to make sure those feet are pretty well aligned with one another. And as you inhale, shift forward a little bit, right hand under your face, left hand to sky. Good, take 1 more inhale. And exhale, bring that left hand down. And we'll take a few breaths here. I'll just leave it open-ended. If you wanted to move a little bit side to side, if you just wanted to take a gentle forward bend, maybe somewhat of a deeper forward bend, you find what works for you. But take about 5 to 6 more breaths here. Feel free to move as much as you like, but also feel free to just be completely still if you find that just right spot. Another big breath. And as you next inhale, perch up onto your fingertips, almost like a half lift along spine here. Bend your right knee, exhale, pivot back. Come into downward dog, rooting both of your hands, stepping your feet back. Give a nice strong pedal of your legs. Take another deep breath in. And then down to the knees as you exhale, lower down onto your elbows and forearms. And just a real modified puppy pose. Start to tilt your tail straight towards the sky. As you do, let your chest melt down towards the floor. You can let the head hang if that's okay with the neck, or keep the head in a more controlled position if that's better for you. If this is too much, don't let the chest drop quite as far. Let's take 2 more big breaths. And then squeeze the belly. As you next inhale, slowly lift yourself back up to all fours. We're going to be coming down onto the back. Give it just a moment to reset. Any movement you need through the spine here. Once you've had enough, go ahead and lower down onto your back. So just come onto your back. You can have your knees bent, your feet on the floor to start. Just check in with where that low back is at. So knees bent, feet to the floor. You should be able to keep a fairly neutral position of that low back here. So probably feeling that low back curve lifting gently off the mat. When you're ready, a little windshield wiper of your knees. Just let your knees rock a few times from side to side. You're going to feel one side get heavier and then the other. Just roll that weight. Then coming back to center, both knees lift. A brief bridge pose here. Bring your hands by your side. Tuck your shoulders under. Really try to get a good, strong tuck of the shoulders. And take a breath in. Feel your toes spread. Feel your fingers spread. Take a breath out. Lift your hips. So pushing down into your feet. Lifting. And as you lift the hips, you should feel that weight start to shift into the shoulder blades here. So your arms and your shoulders bearing most of the weight. Your feet obviously as well, but not a lot in your neck or head. If you'd like more, clasp behind your back and roll those arm bones a bit further under your body. Another big breath. And then your next inhale, lift your heels, undo your hands and reach them overhead, stretch to that wall behind you and roll down with control. So as you exhale, nice and slow, one vertebrae at a time, you're going to reset everything down to the floor. Once your sacrum touches, drop your heels. You can bring your hands to rest down your belly, give the low back a moment to reset, and whenever you're ready, you can add that little windshield wiper. Pause and give it another big breath. Keeping that left foot on the mat, we're going to take a breath in, grab for your right knee, hug your right knee in towards your chest here. You can give it a little bit of a squeeze, nothing too intense. And then if it feels okay, just teeny little circles with that right knee. So you're going to hug it a little tighter, roll towards the right, the left, release a little bit. So just little tiny circles here with that right knee as you hug it in. Switch directions and take just a couple circles the other way. Eventually let that right knee hug a little closer to your right armpit. So instead of straight to the chest, more towards that right armpit. Now you can stay here or take a half happy baby, lifting the sole of just that right foot up towards the ceiling here, using your hand. You can hold the outer leg, you can grab the ankle, whatever works for you. And then from here, you can either stay with your left foot on the mat or you can straighten your left foot on the floor, which is probably going to make things a little bit more interesting. So find what works. Straightening the leg doesn't feel good, keep it bent. Give it just a couple more deep breaths here. Again, it doesn't have to be a lot of effort we're putting into pulling that leg. Usually just the weight of your hand will be enough. Take another big breath in. And then stay here, but as you exhale, rebend that left knee, left foot back to floor. We'll come into a figure four. So release the right foot, cross that right ankle onto your left leg. Make sure your right foot is a bit flexed and then either stay just like you are or reach behind, grab your left leg and hug that whole little packet in towards your chest. I want you to feel a good strong stretch here through that right hip and glute, somewhere in that area. As best you can, you want to keep your head heavy, your shoulders grounded. About 5 more big breaths. So as much of an ease to the breath as you can find. Your face, your jaw muscles, nice and relaxed. Take another big breath in. Gently let go as you exhale, left foot to floor here and let that right leg just wrap. So right leg wraps around the left. We'll inhale the arms out to T. Take a nice long reach. Shift your hips to the right just a touch, maybe half an inch at the most, and then exhale, drop your knees to the left. Now your knees can stay bound together like this. If this puts too much pressure on any body part, just undo the legs, stack your right knee on top of your left knee. You could also use your blanket or some other prop here to support the legs. So do try to make sure your shoulders stay down. Doesn't matter where you look, you can shake the head no a couple times and eventually just find the most comfortable positioning of your head. Just a few more breaths here. Take another big breath in. And exhale, engage your core, firm that belly, bring your knees back to center. We'll unwind the legs and just pause a moment. Knees bent, feet to floor. Just notice how the hips are feeling. If you notice any difference between the sides, maybe they feel the same. Mine definitely feel a little bit skewed. Let's take another breath here. And then right foot stays on the mat for now. We'll inhale, grab that left knee, hug it in, and very gently just draw some teeny little circles here with that left knee. Switching directions at some point. And then eventually letting the left knee hug more towards the left armpit. So rather than straight to the chest, out to the left a bit. You can stay here, or you can move towards that half happy baby, flipping the sole of the left foot right up to the ceiling, the knee kind of framing your rib cage, hand holding, foot, ankle, whatever you can actually reach. You can stay. You can also try straightening the right leg and just see what happens. See which one you prefer better. Breath unaffected by all of the things that we're doing here. Let's take another big breath. And then as you're ready, stay here, but bend your right knee again, right foot to mat. And then cross left ankle onto that opposite thigh. Take your figure four, a little flex of that left foot. You can either stay just like this or reach through, grab the back of your right leg and hug all of that in. Let's take one more big breath in. And gently let go as you exhale, right foot to mat, wrap that left leg around. Take a deep breath in, expand the arms out, tiny shift to the hips to the left, and then exhale, knees to the right. Legs can stay wrapped together or not if that is not comfortable. Always very mindful and conscientious of your head positioning. Just make sure your neck, your head feel good. Few more really deep breaths here. Let's take one more breath in. Again, engage your core. Exhale, squeeze the belly, lift the knees back to center. As you do, you can unwind those legs and perhaps to find a little windshield wiper here of your knees. We are going to be setting up for Shavasana. So this is your chance if there's a final pose you've been craving, if there's anything else that you would like to do with your body before Shavasana. You got a few breaths. And you find a little pose, movement, reset, whatever you need to do. But eventually you're going to be coming down just into a comfortable position, whatever that means for you. Maybe today that's legs up the wall. Maybe today that's, kind of your standard Shavasana, legs straight. Maybe you splay out a little bit into taking up a little bit more space with your limbs. So really whatever position is the most comfortable for you, that's the one you want to end up in for your Shavasana. Use any props, anything that helps you to feel more comfortable. And from here, we'll take a big breath in together. Take the deepest possible inhale that you can possibly take and pause just a moment as you hold that breath. Big exhale. Release every single drop of that breath. And as you do, This is your chance to just let it all go. So you're not trying to control any part of your breath, your body, or your mind anymore. Just allow yourself to completely disconnect. Just settle in and let it go. Start to notice your breath again. Just take a few of the deepest breaths your body can find. And as that breath expands, little movements, some small wiggles of your toes and your fingers. A gentle roll of wrists and ankles, slowly shaking the head no. From an inhale, full body reach. Stretch and lengthen that body long. Exhaling as your knees bend, hugging your knees in towards your heart. Give it a tight squeeze and take a deep breath in. And then exhale, roll over to whatever side it is that's most comfortable for you. Pause there. Take a deep breath. Eventually anchoring down into your top hand. Start to feel your way up and just ease your way into a comfortable seat. Take a moment to simply sit with the breath. Allowing hands to move into your heart space. We'll close this morning with one final shared breath. On that next inhale, arms are going to sweep out. Nice long reach as you circle overhead, palms connect. Exhale, hands to heart. Thank you all so much for being present here this morning to share your breath, your energy, your practice. Have a beautiful weekend and namaste. Thank you so much. Have a great Friday. Thanks for coming in, sharing your practice. Enjoy your day. Everyone, have a good day.